Yo, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. As you can probably tell by the title, today we are going to go out of bounds in Night Watch, a game by Puppet Combo. If you're new around here on Barrier Breach, we like to go out of bounds in some of our favorite indie horror games, where we attempt to uncover hidden secrets and game mechanics. Night Watch is a relatively short and small game, so this one's gonna be quick, but I hope you enjoy it anyways. Also, I never shout out my Discord server for some reason, so if you want to join, or don't. Link in the description. Alright, onto the video. So when you first boot up Night Watch, you are met with a quick Bootup screen that slowly zooms into the watchtower from a distance. By taking the camera and zooming out, you will notice that this is actually a separate dedicated environment that holds a low poly empty version of the main tower that we spend most of our time in throughout the game. This model of the tower is identical to the one we spawn into, although it is missing the entrance door as well as all the furniture and equipment. You can tell that this environment was made for the sole purpose of being displayed at the intro, since the entire tower kind of floats over the edge of this hill, as we as the player were never meant to get this close to it. I find it cool that this whole area is placed way high up in the air above the main playable area, which is right below as you can see. Besides the watchtower being literally the only point of interest in this environment, we have this huge forest/woods area that's filled with trees and foliage, which seems a tad bit excessive given we're never even able to see what's behind the camera, and also because we don't even play here at all. Regardless, I still love to see when environments are fully detailed, as it provides a life to the game even if we never get to actually see it or explore it. So here we have the main attraction, which is of course the iconic watchtower. We already kind of went over this watchtower, but obviously now this version has all the equipment inside as expected. Not gonna lie guys, it feels sort of weird just being here alone with Jim nowhere to be seen. I will bring back Jim later on, but for now I want to grab the essence of this game, so let's move on. So as tradition here on Barrier Breach, we were able to lighten up the map and make everything brighter, which really changes the feel of the entire game. Here we have the inside of the wonderful watchtower, and I'm just gonna give you all close-ups of all the things inside of here. So one thing I really wanted to take a look at was those quick occurrences where you spot a figure outside of the window that slides away and disappears. Of course, here on Barrier Breach, I was able to spawn them in, and to my surprise, it's actually a firefighter who was staring at us from the outside of the watchtower. I always thought that this was the driller killer since they have a very similar build, and also because it's usually pretty dark out here. Next, I was able to spawn in another firefighter, which as you can see is right here besides the other one we just spawned in. Now I don't remember at what point in the game that this firefighter can be spotted, but I'm just gonna assume they appear when entering back into the watchtower. These firefighter models are meant to represent some sort of ghost and are meant to scare you, which they honestly do, but getting up close to them really breaks down the horror element to them, and they honestly just look like regular firefighters. For the second model, I was able to give him a couple of hats to wear, as well as this oxygen tank that's on their back. Okay, enough of these guys. Let's leave them up here to chat. Next we have another firefighter, which we actually get to see up close in-game through the form of a jump scare. So this guy is fully equipped with the entire firefighter outfit, rocking an oxygen tank and an axe in his right hand. This guy appears as a nightmare that Jim has when going into the shack to grab gas for the generator. This right here is what Barrier Breach is for, just being able to watch this cutscene/animation from behind and from a distance. I was able to replay his animation, which was really awesome too. We do have one more firefighter to look at, but I think we should finish up this area first, so let's not waste any time. So there's a sequence that can happen that sees the watchtower catching fire, trapping Jim, either causing him to suffocate and burn, or jump off the tower to save himself. The fire starts right here near the middle of the staircase, and it's pretty anticlimactic for the most part. Nothing else besides this happens here. So something really weird I was able to spawn in was this girl, which if you know a little bit about Puppet Combo, is actually one of the girls we play as in the glass staircase. I believe her name is Helen, and I'm not sure why she's here since there's zero correlation between these two games, but it was still cool seeing her here nonetheless. She wasn't rigged up or anything, so she's just stuck in the T-pose animation, and I was able to replace Jim's model with her, which is how I was able to move her around. She can also be spotted just out here past the shack, again through modifying the game. Nearing towards the end of the game, we have the forest area, and the path we take along it to get to the campsite. The distance from the watchtower to the campsite is actually quite large, and as you can see, the path is decently long. So here we have a spot where we get our first glimpse of this abandoned cabin that we will explore very shortly, so don't worry. There's genuinely nothing of interest on this path that you can't already see through regular gameplay. At some point we make it to the abandoned cabin, and there's really only one thing I wanted to show you all. So right after Jim looks at the graffiti on the wall, you may have spotted a dark figure lurking by the window who swiftly slides away. Again, to my surprise, this is not the driller killer, but rather another firefighter who's standing right here. This footage was kinda hard to get because they despawn after a few seconds, so I kept having to bring them back. Besides that, we have what I believe to be the driller killer's flute, which is the same exact one we find in the sugar tunnel in Power Drill Massacre. Towards the end of the game, we head towards the campsite, and off to the side we have this green glow emitting from the trees, as well as smoke coming out of it. I'm pretty sure this was used to represent the campsite when looking at it from the watchtower, and it's placed right besides the actual campsite we get to explore. Here we have the split path that reminds me heavily of the one we see in PDM. Finally, we make it to the dreaded campsite where we find only the belongings and leftovers of the campers who are nowhere to be seen. Again, nothing here that you aren't able to explore yourself, but still pretty cool being able to enter these tents and have a look at all the objects. So this is the part which probably many of you are waiting for, and it's of course when we get attacked by the driller killer who's hiding deep in the woods. As you can see, he's just standing right here chilling with his drill waiting for Jim to walk by. This is probably my favorite part of the video because we never really get to see the full driller killer model like this. He's either chasing us or hiding, so this was such a treat to do. You can already kind of watch him from a distance if you don't get too close to him, but never like this. Another fun detail is that this is actually not the same driller model from the one in PDM. You might notice that this driller killer is shockingly clean, and that's because the events of Nightwatch take place before PDM. There's no dirt on his mask or his outfit, which implies that this was earlier on in the driller's life. Now, other than that, that is pretty much it for the main playable area of Nightwatch, so let's move on to the ending of the game, which takes place in a very familiar location. So before I show you the ending, I found a small cube out here that contained a gate and a ladder, which you may have seen before. I'm pretty sure these are assets from the glass staircase, which you can probably tell by just the vibe and aesthetic of the entire thing. This also makes sense because we did see a model from the glass staircase, which was Helen. Finally, we have the driller killer's room, which we've already explored in Power Drill Massacre. You can see how this version is just simply the room area with nothing else. Here I was able to spawn in the driller killer so that we could watch him. Again, his movement behavior is very similar to what we saw in PDM. In fact, I actually think this is almost the exact same animation sequence of him just going to different rooms. Eventually, he just lunges towards the player in the cage and stops the game. I know we already went over this, but I just love watching stuff like this. There's something about bringing the camera wherever we want that really adds so much to these brief sequences or cutscenes that we have become so familiar with. So during my time breaching this game, I was able to modify the game a little bit, which led to some cool results. First, we have a blue outline of the entire Nightwatch map floating up in the air. This is actually called a topography map, which is a map that lays out the different levels of altitude that mountains and hills are at on a flat surface, which is why it looks like this. You can see that by fully zooming out, the blue outline matches perfectly with the Nightwatch map. Next we have our boy Jim, which I promised to bring back, and it's to show off his ponchos. Here he has the regular black one, but he also has a white one as well. I was able to place both of them on Jim. Talk about equality. And finally, I just wanted to show you all the map with all the trees and grass removed. This really allows you to get a full scope of just how large this map is, as well as how long the path down the mountain is. It feels so cursed being down here by the campsite, because now it just feels so much more open and safe, although the driller killer is still lurking around here. Finally, we have the driller killer again, and I know he's not too happy right now because he can't hide behind anything. So that concludes this episode of Barrier Breach. Nightwatch is a very straightforward and linear game, so this was the only environment to explore, but that's okay because I'm sure you all didn't expect anything else. Even though this game is pretty small for the most part in terms of sheer size and content, This was still very fun to do, and I'm glad we got to see some of the secrets this game had to offer. As always, it's your boy Blind, and I hope I catch you all in the next video. Remember to stay safe and stay positive. Peace out, guys.